you have a bunch of 5 people or 500 people or 1000 people. Why should they listen? When do you think the speaker is effective?
And it feels that is there something for me in it.
What is in it for me? What's the takeaway?
Right?
Absolutely. Second.
Clear communication, loud and clear.
Loud and clear communication. Okay. Then
Engaging content
engaging content.
that grabs your attention.
Grabs your attention. Okay. What else?
Something unique.
Something unique. Can you expand on that? What do you mean something unique?
Something unique or like which is not regular or unconventional. Could even be a new idea or a new technique of doing the same.
Something that ChatGPT does not know. Something that Arnab Goswami has not told you. Something that TV anchors will always tell you repeatedly, sometimes 15 times. Something unique. And when is something unique?
When it is not a regular use or it's not normal, then it brings a new idea to that. It brings a change into people's thinking.
Absolutely. So the attribute of probably develop that a little because that's the most important aspect of public speaking. That's how audience connects. If I am going to stand up and say, look, I will talk about how Rahul Dravid and DVS Lakshman in 2008 played this innings of their lifetime for 2 days and defeated Australians in Calcutta, Eden Gardens. If I am going to talk about it for half an hour, is anybody going to listen to me? No, right? Maybe they listen to it maybe for the first 2-3 minutes and they'll say, this Bhagat was not even in Eden Gardens. This Bhagat was not even facing to Glenn McGrath and all of the fast bowlers and he's talking about as though he's been there. But when will they listen to, if Dravid comes up, if DVS Lakshman comes up and stands here and talks about it, you can listen. Because it is a lived experience. It's a personal experience. If Arnab Goswami talks 100 times with 100 mouths and maybe no ears, after some time people are going to shut off, right? Instead, if Ajit Doval were to come up and talk about his days in Pakistan doing board operation, they will listen, right? Because it's a authentic, it's a different experience. Right? So one of the most important aspect of relating to an audience, when you capture audience attention is being authentic. You traveled in Allahabad class, you lost your laptop, you had your friend next to you, it was a lived experience. Right? And it was authentic, it was delivered in a way, you all trusted that it's authentic. So you grabbed the audience attention. Isn't it? So that's one of the first attributes of when you make the speech interesting or conversation interesting for others. When you grab audience attention, when it is personalized, when it is authentic and you are delivering in a way that it is authentic. So that's why if you look at most of the Toastmaster international speeches, they're all lived experiences. They're not telling you about somebody else's experience and then that becomes narration. But you can still do that. I mean, you can still do that. But then audience after a point will not listen to you. Because there is ChatGPT, there is Google, there is another Toastmaster. There are so many people who give you all of this information. That's the first. What are other things that you said? You said, what did you say for?
Take away.
Sorry?
What's take away from me?
What is
take away from me?
What's in it for me? So tell me more. What do you mean? What's in it for me?
What I'm going to gain out of it if I'm listening to what I learn from it. So that also people look for.
So that goes back to the content of your speech. In the 7-minute speech or 10-minute speech or 20-minute speech or 30-minute speech or 1 hour speech, your ramble, there's a lot of nice sounding words, Shashi Taru kind of words, but at the end of it you're scratching your head and wondering what is he or she trying to say? Is there one takeaway? You're searching for takeaways. There's a lot spoken but you don't know. Right? That is most important in English speech. A lot of people, especially if you see corporate speaks, they'll have a chart, they'll have a PPT, then they're reading the PPT, they're even pointing, saying, see this graph is going from here to there, this this chart is coming down, sales is going up, profit. Also, I can also see. When data is available today, data is democracy. Everybody knows. Even army also all also is got in live in social media. Everybody knows everything. Everybody is a glamour. So end of the day, I need to know what is the connection to me. What's in it for me? What's to take away? And when will you take away? Suppose I stand here and talk about what is ethical and non-ethical. And I stand here and preach for the next 7 minutes that no, it is ethical behavior, you should not cheat, you should not cross the line, you should not tell lies, you should be goody-goody, you should not copy. I will tell you 100 things. But will you believe me? So for me to take another attribute of what's in it for me is also, again this comes back to lived experience. Is Balu talking about his own life experience of being unethical or ethical, and therefore there is a takeaway for me. And that's when takeaways happen. Right? It can be failure, it can be something that you try to lie and then you fail and then you learn from it. It's a takeaway. Right? So important is to identify in all of your speeches what is the one takeaway. Say for example, in I'm going to pick Anirudh's speech, there was one takeaway, one single takeaway. Any thoughts on what the takeaway was? It was a story. It was a journey, but there was one takeaway. But what's the takeaway?
We should not use our present thinking too much about past.
So be in the present, forget, move on in life.
Move on.
It happened, material loss happened, move on in life, don't lose your future. Don't let your past events affect your mental balance. Move on. You are angry, you are frustrated, you feel bad, but learn to move on was the message. And why did you believe that? Why did you take up that? Because it was a lived experience. You actually traveled, he gave you the date when he traveled, he told you where he boarded the bus. You also created evidence there saying she was there in the bus. Right? And he also said a lot of other things happened, I spoke to somebody's father, that father spoke to commissioner. So all of that was a story I told. So you are talking about takeaway. So often when we speak, we are wandering around, we are saying a lot of things, but there is no takeaway. Right? What's the third one? Somebody said something else.
Being
Old.
unique.
Can't remember.
Being
Sorry?
unique.
Being unique. Tell me more. What do you mean being unique?
Being different from what we said. Being a bit unconventional, not following the same norms as everyone else.
Okay. Being different, being unique. Okay. Anybody else wants to say anything on this? Being unique. It's actually an excellent point. What happens typically is, we think coming up here is aping somebody else. I am Balu here. I have a particular persona. I look in a particular way. I have a particular accent. I have a baggage of how I have been brought up. What are the fears that I have? What is my background? All of that is there. It's a DNA in me. But typically what happens is when speakers come up here, they behave like somebody else. Sometimes they behave like their bosses. Sometimes they behave like their role models. Sometimes they behave like what they wanted to be and could not be. For example, I wanted to be hero. I wanted to be one deadly hero. So whenever I come up on stage, subconscious mind tells me that I have to behave like Amitabh Bachchan. So they try to ape these kind of personas that they are actually not. And that is where you lose your personality. Everybody has a unique way of speaking. Just respect it. Do not try to change it. Most often we try to fight it. Everybody has a particular style of delivery. Of course, you have to correct it. Sometimes your style of delivery is standing like this. You can say, well, this is my style. I'm going to stand like this and speak. I don't care whether I'm speaking to the President of India or to the Prime Minister of India, or I'm standing in front of the national flag. I stand like this. That's not accent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if there is a particular way that you want to communicate, there's a style, there's an aura, don't lose that. That is the you, that's the original you. Ghostbusters is not about making you Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan. It's about being self-aware. You come up here, being self-aware has got multiple dimensions. It's your physical body, you stand here, or you standing. What is your bodily emotion? What is it that others are seeing? Which is a reflection of what is happening in your mind. Right? And who you are as a person. Don't try to change that. For example, Jitendra, I have seen him for the last 6 years. While he has improved and he is more confident, but I still see the same Jitendra as an individual whenever he comes up. He is drastically not trying to change who he is as a person. So often people fight that. And because they are fighting all of that all the time, they are trying to make this very artificial. So don't do that. So that's what I mean being authentic. Right? So what else? We talked about what's in it for me. We talked about being authentic. And then we talked about
Loud and clear.
being loud and clear. So what do you mean loud and clear? Shouting?
No.
Other performing?
Loud and clear is one. Loud is not actually the voice which goes amplifying and resonating very well. It is the meaning which actually resonates in others' mind, right? And also that meaning without feeling shy or without mincing your words. If you can put across very clearly and leave that to other person to judge, it was very impactful, right? And clear is it's same. Again, you are not going to beating around the bushes when you are delivering the message or particular thing. You have to give a very clear and concise message in your speech.
Absolutely. So there are 2-3 aspects. This sort of decode this whole thing, being loud and clear. One is loud and clear for the audience to hear. Assuming you have a mic, you have 1,000 people, you are sitting in a mic is top notch, world class mic. Even if a pin drops, everybody is going to hear. Right? Just being aware of that. Sometimes I've seen in large gatherings, people are shouting into the microphone, and people sitting there like closing their ears. So loud and clear is being really aware of your acoustics. Right? So for example, somebody sitting there, and the reason you observe if you switch off the fan now, when we started, I switched off the fan. Somebody sitting there will probably not hear you. But you as a speaker cannot blame that person there. He sat there for whatever reason. Maybe he's uncomfortable sitting there. He wants to sit there or he wants to sleep. You can't blame the audience for whatever they are doing. But you as a speaker have a responsibility to reach everybody in the audience. Either through visual contact or through being loud. Right? So being aware of the audience, of the setting, and speaking appropriately is being loud. That is one. The second is speaking from a point of view of the story of the character that you have created. Suppose if in your story you create a character, a child character, or you create a character of your father, or a very elderly man, or your angry wife, you cannot be speaking in the same tone. You cannot be speaking in the same style. You have to vary your style and maybe modulate your voice. Otherwise, it's going to be drama, right? People are not going to listen. So that is what creating characters in your speech drives up. It's not theatrics, sometimes it borders on theatrics. It is a little bit of theatrics. But you will have to be loud enough or appropriate enough to make sure that you are also giving voices to characters. Right? Third is, sometimes I have seen there is an emotional scene in your story. Either it is somebody, your friend is suffering, or you are dealing with death in the family. That's part of your story. In such cases, you don't even need a voice. It is your emotion. Using pauses can be loud enough then. Saying nothing, describing the story, situation, describing the environment, creating a vivid imagery, and not saying anything is being loud enough. Right? So it is in line with the story that you are trying to tell, the characters you have created, and your own ability to sort of modulate your voice. Not everybody can do it. It comes with practice. Right? The third aspect, I don't know, nobody mentioned about it, is being conscious of it. Often, I've seen people getting carried away with their own story. They just keep assuming that the audience have unlimited time and everybody is in love with what they want to say. And sometimes 7 minutes become 8, 10, 11, 20 minutes also. And sometimes your bosses also think that they are God's gift to mankind. Mind then you go, people have to listen because you don't have a choice, it's your boss. Right? So sticking to time, preparing, making sure you're scripted, you're carefully wording what needs to be said, who it needs to be said, what time frame it has to be said is important. Okay? The last but not the least is 3 aspects. I mean, whatever speech it is, it could be presentation, it could be story, it could be characters, it could be material. You have to have fundamental 3 elements. Your opening, body, presentation. Opening creates a hook, all of us know. I'm not going to get into details on what type of opening. It could be a question, it could be a narration of a story, it could be dance, it could be something bizarre that you start with, or ask questions, it can be anything. If you don't have a strong opening, I'm not saying only Toastmasters, don't think this is a Toastmasters thing. Anywhere, human mind, if you do not grab their attention in the first 90 seconds, especially these days, because mobile phone, social media, switch off, move on. 90 seconds, 2 minutes, you are moving on. If you do not capture the attention in the first 2 minutes, nobody is going to listen. Once you have captured the attention, you have to keep them engaged with your body. So he captured our attention by saying, I was traveling, I went to Mysore bus stand, I got into, I love this bus, and all that. He grabbed our attention. He took us to satellite bus stand. We were actually with him in Aira club class, and as he was sleeping, I couldn't figure out that he was putting his luggage on top. After that, you cannot drop it. This is great, fantastic opening. After that, I slept. After that, I got up. After that, I saw. After that, my laptop was not there. There's also one way of saying the story, no? Okay, after that, I also slept. The audience also slept. So, keeping the body rich enough with and making sure that the audience is engaged is in the body. Right? The third aspect is again conclusion. All this you were told for what? What's the message? What's the giveaway? You have to connect it back to the opening. Right? Was it really about cleverness? The speech? But the speech was, the title was interesting. And all wanted to listen. But what was the conclusion? Conclusion was something else. Right? So you have to keep in mind, especially these days, 5 to 7 minutes, your conclusion has to gel with your